In December 1944, Japanese intelligence officer Hiroo Onoda received an order that would define the rest of his life. He was sent to the Philippine island of Lubang with a clear mission: organize guerrilla operations, sabotage enemy infrastructure, and most importantly, never surrender. One instruction stood above all others: under no circumstances are you to give up your life voluntarily. No matter what happens, we will come back for you. These words stayed with him for the next 30 years. Soon after Onoda arrived on the island, Allied forces began large-scale operations in the region. American and Filipino troops gradually took control of Lubang. Japanese forces were defeated, and the remaining soldiers were forced to hide in the jungle. Onoda retreated into the dense forest with 3 other Japanese soldiers. They continued to operate as a small guerrilla unit, believing their mission was still active. In August 1945, Japan surrendered after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, bringing World War II to an end. But Onoda and the soldiers hiding with him refused to believe that the war was over. Aircraft began dropping leaflets into the jungle announcing Japan's surrender and instructing soldiers to come out and lay down their weapons. Onoda examined the leaflets carefully, but concluded that they were enemy propaganda designed to trick Japanese soldiers into surrendering. The group continued living in the jungle. They built small hidden camps, moved constantly to avoid detection, and survived by hunting animals and stealing food from nearby farms. Occasionally, they carried out raids, believing they were still fighting enemy forces. Years passed, but their belief that the war continued never changed. In 1949, one of the soldiers, Yuichi Akatsu, became exhausted with life in hiding and decided to surrender. He left the jungle and was eventually found by local authorities. When he told them that Japanese soldiers were still hiding on Lubang Island, the news shocked people in Japan. The government organized search operations to locate the remaining soldiers and bring them home. Aircraft once again dropped leaflets, newspapers, and even photographs from the soldiers' families into the jungle. The messages clearly stated that the war had ended years earlier, but Onoda remained convinced that it was all part of a trap created by the enemy. He believed that the real Japanese army would eventually return, and that his duty was to continue fighting until that moment. In 1954, another member of the group was killed during a confrontation with Filipino police. After that incident, only 2 soldiers remained in the jungle. Eventually, Onoda was the last one left alive. Completely alone, he continued to live deep in the forest. He repaired his equipment, maintained his rifle, and carried out occasional attacks on what he believed were enemy positions. For the local population, he became a mysterious and dangerous figure. Farmers feared encountering him in the fields, and police patrols searched for him for many years. Despite numerous search efforts, Onoda avoided capture. He knew the terrain extremely well and had mastered the art of survival in the jungle. He moved silently through the forest, rarely staying in one place for long. Decades passed, and the world outside changed completely, while he continued to live as if the war had never ended. Everything finally changed in 1974 when a young Japanese traveler named Norio Suzuki decided to travel to the Philippines with an unusual goal. He said he wanted to find 3 things: Lieutenant Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman. Many people thought it was impossible, but Suzuki believed he could do it. Remarkably, Suzuki succeeded in finding Onoda deep in the jungle. The 2 men spoke for several hours. Suzuki explained that Japan had long since rebuilt itself and that the war had ended decades earlier. But Onoda refused to surrender. He insisted that he would only stop fighting if his commanding officer personally ordered him to do so. The Japanese government eventually located Onoda's former commander, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi. After the war, Taniguchi had become a bookstore employee. He was brought to Lubang Island to meet Onoda in person. On March 9, 1974, Taniguchi formally read the order releasing Onoda from his military duty. After living in the jungle for nearly 30 years, Onoda finally accepted that the war was truly over. He walked out of the forest wearing his old military uniform and carrying the equipment he had kept all those years: his rifle, a samurai sword, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. His weapon was still in working condition. The world was astonished. A soldier who had received his orders in 1944 had continued to follow them for almost 3 decades after the war had ended. When Hiroo Onoda returned to Japan, he became a symbol of absolute loyalty and discipline. His story remains one of the most extraordinary and unbelievable chapters connected to World War II.